Story, History, and Miracles of Xian. Have you ever wondered whether immortality is boring or wonderful? We are familiar with the great gods of heaven, but did you know that in Chinese legend there is a group of people who refuse to be gods according to the rules? They are former beggars, former warriors, former prostitutes who live in the mortal world, practicing Taoism on their own until they gain power beyond time. They do not fly to heaven to claim a position, but they walk beside us, living a simple life, but with miracles that shake the heavens and earth. Who are Xian? The Eight Immortals, or Ba Xian, are a legendary group of people revered by Taoists as those who have attained immortality, ascension. These immortals are not as great as the gods in heaven, but are ordinary humans living on earth, training themselves to achieve immortality and using their magical powers to help those in need. They are not always from the upper class, but they come from all walks of life, from the poorest to the nobility. This demonstrates that anyone can achieve enlightenment if they put in the effort and believe in the Tao. They are highly revered as the bridge between humans and the gods. They still possess human emotions, humor, anger, and compassion, which make them accessible. Most importantly, their role is to help the poor and subdue evil with their magical powers. They are also symbols of good fortune and abundance. Their appearances are often associated with miraculous events. And their greatest legend is the crossing of the seas. When the Eight Immortals were invited to a banquet at the palace of the goddess Wang Mu, they refused to use ordinary boats. Each of them used their own magical items to fly across the raging seas: fans, flutes, staffs. These magical items are what made them famous. This miraculous performance made them immortal in the hearts of the people. From here, we'll delve deeper into the lives, struggles, and incredible miracles of the Eight Immortals. And we'll begin with the young immortal who rejected the imperial court and used his flute to force the peony to bloom in winter. That's He Xiangu. You may not have known that the limping beggar immortal was actually a liberated master who abandoned his own body to teach humanity a lesson. He Xiangu, the young immortal of the flute and the trees. He Xiangu was known as the young immortal who was passionate about music. He didn't seek power, but sought the peace and beauty in nature. He Xiangu is said to be the grandson of Han Yu, a renowned official and scholar during the Tang Dynasty. Despite the opportunity to advance in the prestigious official path, He Xiangu rejected it. He chose to abandon the worldly life and live a free life, seeking the truth of the Tao and understanding nature through music. He Xiangu's main role was as a patron of music and a botanical expert. He often appeared as a young scholar, playing a flute or whistling beautifully. His most famous miracle was playing the flute to make flowers bloom in winter. He was once reprimanded by his uncle for not earning a living. He Xiangu used his flute to play a song imbued with the power of the Tao. In the cold of winter, a peony miraculously blossomed. On its petals were poems predicting his uncle's future. People worship He Xiangu for his blessings of simple happiness, artistic talent, and liberation from worldly bondage. He is often depicted with a peony or a bamboo flute. The next immortal is Li Tieguai, the beggar immortal of iron staff and compassion. Li Tieguai was one of the first immortals to achieve immortality. However, his appearance belied the divine. He was originally a handsome scholar who cultivated a high level of spirituality. He once astralized to meet Laozi, the Grand Master of Taoism. Before astralizing, he instructed his disciples to care for his body. If his spirit did not return within 7 days, he should cremate it. However, on the 6th day, his disciple had to hurry home to care for his seriously ill mother, so he cremated his master's body prematurely. When Li Tieguai returned, his original body was gone. He was thus forced to possess the body of a lame beggar who had recently died. Although his body was crippled and disgusting, his spirit remained noble, and he decided to use this body to teach humanity a lesson beyond appearances. His main role, he was the patron of medicine and compassion. He often appeared as a lame beggar, holding an iron staff and a gourd at his side. The gourd he held contained not only liquor, but also elixirs of life and healing steam. He used the staff to support the sick and used the medicine in the gourd to heal the poor and the incurable. People revered Li Tieguai, praying for good health, recovery from illness, and compassion for humanity. He was depicted with an iron staff and a gourd. After the young immortal Han Xiangzi performed the Song of Flowers, now we meet the leader of the 8 Immortals, who is not only gracious, but comes with a magical fan and a large belly. We're going to talk about Xiangli Quan, the leader of the Immortals and the life-changing fan. Xiangli Quan is considered the most senior immortal among the Puizhong Immortals. He symbolizes courage, contentment, and compassionate leadership. It is said that Xiangli Quan lived during the Han Dynasty. He held a high position in the military, reaching the level of a general. Later, he suffered a major defeat in battle. This led him to become weary of the worldly life, filled with struggle and ambition. He decided to abandon his rank and title and flee into the mountains to seek the truth. Finally, he met Donghua Dingjun, a great immortal. Donghua Dingjun taught him Taoist techniques and bestowed upon him a magical fan. Finally, his body emitted a golden light and attained immortality while in the mortal world. Xiangli Quan was a patron of soldiers and the poor. He was often depicted as a plump man with a smiling face, with a large bare belly symbolizing contentment and contentclear, and holding a fan made from a bird's tail or palm leaf. His main role was the spiritual guide of the Ba Xian, and the one who guided humans to the pure essential nature of life. His sacred amulet was a fan called Ba Jiao Shao. This fan was not meant to ward off the heat, but possessed powers beyond comprehension.
Legend has it that his fan could easily revive the dead. If you saw a dead person whose fate had not yet come to pass, you could simply wave the fan over the body and life would return, as if they had simply fallen asleep. This miracle demonstrated his compassionate ability to perfectly control the vital qi. Before he attained immortality, he had used his alchemy powers to help humans. Once, he traveled to a starving village. He used his Taoist power and alchemy knowledge. He cast a spell on a stone and instantly transformed it into gold bars or silver. He distributed this to the poor to buy food, with the condition that when the aid ran out, the gold would return to stone. He did this so that people would eventually learn the value of self-reliance. People worship John Li Chuan for good health, courage, and the discovery of true peace. He is also beloved by those seeking enlightenment, as he is a model demonstrating that past mistakes can lead to immortality. He is a symbol of contentment and is often used in Feng Shui to enhance mental stability and support. John Li Tieguai is a leader who does not rule with power, but with the miracle of life and compassion. He teaches us that living a simple but happy life is the path to true immortality. Now, let's meet the immortal with the most unusual travel method among the Po-Jian immortals. We're going to talk about Zhang Guolao. He is an elderly immortal filled with wisdom, mystery, and humor. Zhang Guolao is one of the longest-lived immortals among the Pa immortals. He symbolizes ancient wisdom, endurance, and liberation from the shackles of the world. His exact origins are unknown. It is believed that he lived during the Tang dynasty. However, some stories say that he lived even before that dynasty. He witnessed the fall and rise of many dynasties. Despite his renowned knowledge, he refused numerous imperial appointments. He chose to live a solitary life deep in the mountains, studying the knowledge of the Tao to escape the chaos and temptations of the political world. Zhang Guolao was a patron of artists, the elderly, and travelers. He often appeared as a kind-hearted old man. He carried a bamboo musical instrument, similar to a drum or a small angklang, and most importantly, his beloved donkey. His main role was to teach people to understand the nature of time and to break free from the cycle of thought. His most famous and most amazing miracle was the folding donkey. The donkey he rode was no ordinary donkey. While traveling, he would ride it facing backwards. He did this to demonstrate his understanding of the cycle of time and teach people not to cling to what was ahead or what was to come, but to live mindfully in the present. When he rested, he would fold the donkey flat like paper and store it in a box or bag. When he wanted to continue his journey, he simply sprayed water on the paper, and the donkey transformed back into a real donkey. With a lifespan exceeding that of time, he had the ability to accurately foresee people's past and future. Empress Wu Zetian, the only female empress of China, once tested him. She asked him about the fate of a flower that was to be kept in a secret place. Zhang Guolao not only predicted that flowers would wither, but also accurately predicted the tiniest details of the dynasty's future. People revered him for this miracle, demonstrating that the wisdom of the Tao transcended worldly knowledge. People venerated Zhang Guolao for longevity, profound knowledge, and safe travels. Because he rode a donkey, he was a patron of those involved in travel and trade. He was often depicted with a donkey and a musical instrument called the Yugu. Zhang Guolao taught us that immortality is not just about living a long life, but about understanding the nature of time and not being limited by worldly concepts. Now, it's time for us to meet the most famous and well-known immortal of the Po-Jian clan. He is a graceful hero who wields a magical sword. We're talking about Lü Dongbin. He was an immortal embodying knowledge, courage, and sacrifice. Lü Dongbin is considered the patron of scholars, doctors, and barbershops. He symbolizes purity, justice, and overcoming temptation. Lü Dongbin is believed to have lived during the late Tang dynasty. He was a talented and handsome scholar. He dreamed of becoming an official and making a name for himself. His attainment of immortality did not come easily. He met the immortal Zhang Lichun, who saw the power of the Tao within him. Zhang Lichun gave Lü Dongbin 10 crucial tests, the 10 vexations, to prove himself and abandon worldly ties. One of these tests was the dream of a moment. He dreamed of becoming a high-ranking official, famous and wealthy, but he ultimately suffered a swift failure. Upon waking, he briefly realized that worldly glory was merely an illusion, fleeting. By passing these 10 trials, he abandoned worldly ambitions, and attained immortality. Lü Dongbin is often depicted as a graceful scholar, clad in the robes of a Taoist noble, carrying a magical sword at his side. His main role, he is a conqueror of demons and demons born from human desires. He travels the world to help people and deliver justice. His personal magical item is the magic sword, Xian. Lü Dongbin's sword is not meant to cut people, but to subdue evil. This sword has the ability to see evil and cut off the defilements within humans. Legend has it that he used this sword to fly around the world, subduing demons that deceived humans. In some stories, his sword can transform to light, penetrating darkness and exorcising evil. He uses this sword to protect the innocent and offer redemption to those who have gone astray. He is considered the most dedicated immortal to leading mankind to enlightenment. He has helped and guided countless people to follow the path of the Tao. One of his most interesting miracles is when he conjured gold, like John Li Chun, to test human greed. But when people rejected worldly wealth, he offered the knowledge of the Tao to them, so they could attain enlightenment instead. He demonstrated that knowledge is worth 100 times more than gold. Students and scholars held him in high esteem, praying for success in exams and faithfulness in their studies. Doctors revered him for his miraculous healing powers. He was often depicted with a sword and the symbol of justice. He symbolized a young man free from lust. Lü Dongbin taught us that immortality is not just about living a long life, but about having a strong mind and the courage to break free from the lusts that bind us to the world. From a courageous young immortal, it's time for us to meet the only female immortal. Among the Xian group, she is a symbol of purity, kindness, and asceticism that is superior to any other man.
We're talking about He Xiangu, an immortal embodying virtue, beauty, and the mystical lotus flower. He Xiangu is considered the patroness of women, nuns, and families. He symbolizes purity, elegance, and helping others. It is said that He Xiangu lived during the Tang Dynasty in Lingling, present-day Hunan province. He was born with 6 strands of hair growing from his head. This was seen as a symbol of being the chosen one. As he grew up, he refused to live the life of a common woman. He chose to practice strict asceticism. He held a strong belief in the Tao and refused to eat food from the mortal world. He survived on only clouds and mineral powder from the mountains. He prayed to save the world from evil. Finally, he met the goddess Wang Mu, who gave him the peach of immortality. When he ate the peach, he attained immortality while still alive. He Xiangu is often depicted as a beautiful young woman holding a still blooming lotus flower or a basket of flowers. His primary role is that of protecting and helping women, the poor, and the elderly. His sacred object is the lotus flower, or He Li. He Xiangu's lotus flower is not only beautiful, but also has healing powers. Legend has it that he would use it to concoct medicines or simply touch it to the body of a sick person, and illness would miraculously disappear. The lotus also symbolizes purity born from the mud, the world of passion. So he used this power to help people's minds escape evil. He has the ability to see the future and perform miracles through the gift of fruit. It is believed that he can predict what will happen in people's lives. It is said that he would give a special fruit, in some legends a peach, to those in distress, and that when they ate it, they would be freed from the disasters and misfortunes that were to come. This miracle represents the ability to change human destiny through his virtue. Women who desire marital happiness, purity of mind, and safe childbirth often worship He Xiangu. He also symbolizes those who choose a different path in life and achieve spiritual success. He is a symbol of pure yin, or feminine energy, and is often used in feng shui to enhance family relationships and peace within the home. He Xiangu teaches us that the greatest power comes not from ferocity, but from compassion and purity of mind, which can heal the world. Now that we've gotten to know the virtuous female immortal, let's meet an immortal whose background is most at odds with Taoist principles. A noble official who decided to abandon wealth and power in pursuit of truth. We're going to talk about Cao Guoju, an immortal steeped in purity, justice, and determination to right the wrongs of his family. Cao Guoju is a symbol of honesty, fairness, and modesty. He's an example of someone born with everything, but choosing to abandon it all for the sake of virtue. It's said that Cao Guoju lived during the Song dynasty. He came from an extremely noble background. He was the younger brother of Empress Cao of the Song dynasty. He was a high-ranking official with both titles and immense wealth. Despite his honesty and virtue, his second brother was a rascal, using his connections and power to bully and ruin the lives of others. Cao Guoju was deeply ashamed and hurt by his brother's behavior. He realized that wealth and power were the root of all evil. He decided to abandon all his wealth, abandon his official robes, and flee into the forest and mountains to seek the Tao. There, he met Lü Dongbin and Li Tieguai, who taught him Tao and guided him. He eventually attained immortality, driven by his purity of heart and unwavering determination. Cao Guoju is often depicted as a simple-dressed official, not as extravagant as he was as a lord, and holding a Yujan slip, or Yu Ban, in his hand. His primary role was as a moral inspector and guardian of justice, ensuring that those in power did not abuse their power. His personal amulet was a Yu Ban, a Yujan Ban, which served as a percussion instrument for singing. His Yu Ban was not merely for entertainment. It had the power to reflect the truth. When he struck the band and sang, the lyrics would express the truth of life, not attachment to objects and goodness. Those who hear it will gain mindfulness and clearly see the impermanence of the world. In other words, this Yujan tablet is also a tool used to record the good and bad deeds of humans and those in power. His greatest miracle was overcoming his own background. When he abandoned everything, he did it not only for himself, but also spent his time preaching and guiding his evil brother to see the truth of the Tao. Because of his purity, his brother repented and returned all the stolen property to the people. This shows that true goodness can transform even those in the darkest of hearts. People worship Cao Guoju for purity of heart, honesty in governance, and avoidance of bribery. He is also the patron of performers and the performing arts, as his Yujan tablet is used as a musical instrument. He is a symbol of resilience and redemption. Cao Guoju teaches us that becoming an immortal does not depend on who you are born as, but how you choose to live your life. Finally, we have arrived at the last and most fascinating and mysterious immortal of the Po Xian clan. He is an immortal filled with mystery, freedom, and joy. We're going to talk about Lan Kai He. He is an immortal who challenges social conventions and symbolizes detachment and the joy of simple life. Lan Kai He symbolizes joy, artistry, and liberation from gender norms. He teaches us that true happiness is independent of any rules. Lan Kai He's origins are mysterious. Some legends describe him as a young man with sweet appearance, while others describe him as a young woman wearing men's clothes. Lan Kai He chose to live a life as a wandering traveler. He dressed in tattered clothes and wore only one shoe. He has a habit of singing, dancing, and making strange remarks in the markets and on the streets. He often removes one shirt in summer and wears oversized clothing in winter, demonstrating his detachment from the environment or worldly norms. He lives a free life and achieves immortality through his unique practice of Taoism, particularly through song and humorous actions. Lan Kai He is often depicted as a young or transgender immortal with long flowing hair and carries a flower basket filled with seasonal flowers.
His primary role is that of the patron of the market, the poor, and the downtrodden. He uses his music and miracles to remind people to live mindfully and detached from materialism. His personal amulet is a flower basket filled with seasonal flowers.
The flowers in Lan Kai He's basket have profound meanings. They are not for sale, but are used to divine fate and bestow blessings. It is believed that when you give a flower to someone, it will contain the healing power of qi and the knowledge of truth. He would use these flowers to help the poor and the sick without expecting anything in return. His basket thus symbolizes abundance and endless giving. One of his most notable acts was singing in the market. His songs were Taoist verses that ridiculed human ambition, greed, and foolishness. His voice had the magical power to awaken the listener and understand the impermanence of the world. Legend has it that when he finished singing, he would immediately distribute the money he received to the poor, demonstrating his detachment from material possessions. People worship Lan Kai He for financial freedom, happiness in life, and artistic talent. He is beloved by those who wish to break free from the rigid conventions and rules of society. He symbolizes cheerfulness, gender neutrality, and a light, unattached life. And this is the entire story of the Eight Immortals. The Eight Immortals. They are a group of immortals who teach us that immortality is not just about living in heaven, but about living in the mortal world with a free spirit and a compassionate heart. Now that we've learned about the Eight Immortals and their miracles, it's time to explore the greatest and most famous story of the Eight Immortals. This is a story that demonstrates their magical power and unity. The Journey Across the Sea. Ba Xian Guahai. Ba Xian Guahai. This legend is not just a journey, it's the Eight Immortals' declaration of independence from the rules of heaven. The story begins when the Empress of the West, Wang Mu, Si Wang Mu, invited the Eight Immortals to the Peach Immortal banquet on her palace on Mount Kunlun. However, the journey to Wang Mu's palace required crossing the vast and dangerous Eastern Sea. As the Eight Immortals reached the shore, Zhang Lichuan, the leader of the Immortals, posed an intriguing challenge. Brothers, we are immortals. Why must we use fragile human boats? Let's show the world the true power of the Tao. Let's each use our magical amulets to cross this sea. Whoever reaches the shore first. The challenge was quickly accepted. The Immortals did not use boats, but used their personal magical amulets as vehicles to float or move across the water. Zhang Lichuan used his magic fan to calm the wind and waves, allowing him to stand on the surface. Li Tieguai threw his iron staff into the water. The staff transformed into a small bamboo boat. Lü Dongbin uses his magic sword and throws it into the water. The sword transforms into a water dragon, carrying you soaring above the waves. Zhang Guolao uses his foldable donkey, unfolds it, and rides it across the sea. He Xiangu uses her flower basket and throws it into the water. The flowers transform into a gentle and soft lotus boat. Tao Guoju uses a jade slip on the water surface and uses it as a magical surfboard, allowing you to sail swiftly. Xiangzi uses his magic flute and throws it into the water. The flute transforms into a bamboo bridge, extending all the way to the other side. Lan Kai He uses her flower basket and throws it into the water. The flowers transform into several floating wooden planks, allowing you to walk across them like a wooden bridge. If you imagine this wondrous scene, the sea would be filled with color and magical power. There were water dragons, floating lotuses, and scholars riding jade tablets surfing the waves. This was the greatest display of miracles where each immortal had fully utilized their elemental powers and magical items. But the journey was not smooth. This display of great power aroused the Sea King, the Dragon King. The Sea King saw the Immortals' actions as an affront to his own power and ordered the sea demons and shrimp soldiers to attack. The Eight Immortals worked together to fiercely fight the underwater army. Lü Dongbin used his magic sword to slay many demons. Zhang Lichuan used his fan to blow away the giant waves. and Li Tieguai threw a magical gourd into the sea to release a potion that paralyzed the demons. Finally, after a fierce battle, the 8 Immortals were able to defeat the Sea King's army and safely reached shore. From then on, the story of the 8 Immortals crossing the sea is thus a symbol of human triumph over nature. The 8 Immortals, Ba Xian, are a group of 8 legendary figures who are highly revered in Taoism, not because they were born gods, but because they chose to achieve immortality through their own virtue and determination. Immortality is not determined by birth. These immortals prove that whether you are a beggar, Li Tieguai, or a nobleman, Tao Guoju, everyone has the potential to attain enlightenment if you have faith and perseverance. Compassion is the greatest magical power. Their greatest miracles are not for show, but for helping the poor and suppressing injustice. True freedom lies in non-attachment. Immortals like Zheng Wolao and Lan Kai-he teach us that happiness does not come from material things, but from liberating ourselves from the bonds of ambition and worldly rules. The miracle of the 8 Immortals is therefore not just a story about crossing the sea, but a manual for life. It tells us that the body may just be a discarded shell, power may be just an illusion, and wealth is meaningless compared to a free spirit. These 8 chose to roam the mortal world using their miracles and magical objects to whisper a reminder that the path to immortality begins in everyone's heart. Look into your heart and ask yourself, why were you born? What are you doing? And for what purpose? No answer is right or wrong, but every answer reveals your identity.